Sophia was just an ancient myth and a poetic symbol for wisdom, and a forgotten goddess story that belongs beneath lost temples and dusty scrolls. But what if she wasn't forgotten by time, but by design? Because in the hidden tradition, Sophia was never just a myth. She was a return event, not something prophesied in the distant future, but for the times we're living right now. The Gnostics didn't describe her return as just some dramatic event in the cosmos, but as something far closer, something that would appear inside human consciousness first. You've probably felt the signs already. That strange sense that something is about to happen. That feeling, as the world becomes more chaotic, that something is shedding in preparation for a great unveiling. And here's where it gets even more profound. There were teachings connected to Jesus, kept outside the official story, that suggest that before Sophia returns, something big shifts. Not just in the world, but in the inner world of humanity. This isn't a modern prophecy, and it isn't about specific dates. These are signs, spiritual conditions, described in the ancient language of symbols that seem to point to this time. And once you open your eyes, the signs are everywhere, especially in the quiet way your soul has been pulling you towards something deeper, without you even knowing why. In this video, you won't just hear a story about Sophia, you'll learn the signs, linked to the hidden teachings of Jesus, that were said to appear before her return, the prerequisite of Christ consciousness. Because Sophia was never just about an event, it was about the restoration of the divine feminine, the missing piece of Christ, returning to inner light, and ushering the world into an age beyond the reach of the lower forces known as the archons. So if the Gnostics were right, then Sophia doesn't return gently. She returns like light entering a room that was built to keep you asleep. And once that happens, everything that relies on darkness is exposed. To understand these signs, you have to understand something deeper. Christianity didn't just bury Sophia, it also repackaged Jesus, presenting him in a form that was far removed from who he actually was. Because in the earliest Gnostic teachings, Jesus was never trying to create a religion. He was revealing a map of liberation for those ready to remember. And the Gnostics weren't trying to start a new religion either. They were trying to protect something the church could never fully contain. The kingdom is not coming. It's not arriving later. It's already here within you, awakened through gnosis and direct inner knowing. And in these hidden teachings, Sophia appears again and again, not as a side character, but as a cosmic intelligence woven into the story of liberation. Sophia was just an ancient myth and a poetic symbol for wisdom, again, not as a side character, but as a cosmic intelligence woven into the story of liberation itself. Wisdom, the feminine aspect of knowing that doesn't come through logic, but through recognition. The story of Sophia begins with her descent, a reach beyond the harmony of the pleroma that triggered the fracture and birthed the world of the demiurge. But what most people don't realize is this: the Gnostics didn't treat Sophia's story like a tragedy. They treated it like prophecy, not about dates, but about stages. A rhythm in consciousness, a cycle, fall, fragmentation, forgetfulness, and then return. And in texts like the Apocryphon of John, Sophia isn't merely the one who falls, she is also the one who initiates the restoration, breathing remembrance back into humanity. That's where the Jesus connection becomes impossible to ignore. Because in Gnostic cosmology, Christ and Sophia are not strangers. They are counterparts, two currents of the same restoration. Christ as divine light, Sophia as divine wisdom. One awakens vision, the other awakens understanding. One reveals the prison, the other reveals the door. And if that sounds unfamiliar, it's because this is precisely the layer that history tried to erase. After the discovery of the Nag Hammadi library, those buried Gnostic texts, we realized just how wide early Christianity really was. Not one story, but many. And some of those stories were too liberating to keep. If people learned that awakening didn't require permission, if they learned that the divine spark was already within them, then fear-based control collapses. So Sophia was pushed into the shadows. The feminine current of divinity was reduced to silence, suspicion, temptation, or error. You can see the fingerprints of this distortion everywhere. How wisdom becomes dangerous, how intuition is mocked, and how the heart is treated like weakness. But Sophia never disappeared. She went underground into symbols, into that quiet pressure you felt in your own life, a sense that the world is loud but hollow. And now, across the modern world, something ancient is resurfacing, not because of new age trends, but because the cycle is turning again. Because once you truly see, the signs become undeniable, which means the question is no longer, is Sophia real? The real question is, if Sophia is returning, what would the signs look like? Here's the first thing you have to understand. Sophia's return is not a woman descending from the sky, not a savior in the biblical sense, but a shift in the structure of consciousness and the return of a missing intelligence the world has been running without. And when that intelligence begins to return, reality and again.
Looks like you forgot, once again, how powerful you are.